This topic has to do with percent change, basically what we call a percent increase or decrease. And when we have kind of an original amount, sometimes we can change it by adding or subtracting to that original amount and talk about what's the percent of the increase or decrease. The general formula right here, percent of change, is the amount of change over the original, and the times 100 is what changes it to a percent. It's very important to note that this times 100 piece is actually what changes it to a percent. So specifically, when we talk about an increase, we're talking about a markup, or like how much is being taxed. And a percent decrease is like what a discount is. It's best just to dive into some examples. Here's one. You have a pair of jeans that originally were priced at $25 and now cost $30. Find the percent of markup. Well, with this amount of change, what I like to think about with the amount of change, and you'll want to write this down, is this is big number minus smaller number. We really want to keep this as a positive number. So when I talk about big number minus smaller number, my 30 is the big, my 25 is the small, and I'm going to put that over the original. And so the original, it says originally were priced at 25. So I get 25 right there. Then I have 30 minus 25 is 5, 5/25ths, or 1/5. Change that to a decimal, and that's 0.2. So if I take that and I do times 100, that's going to be a 20% markup. Moving along, a hairdresser's price for a haircut increased by $12, and what was the original price of a haircut? So this is a little increase by $12. In the original price of a haircut, the price increased by 30%. So I'm going to go let x equal the original price. And if I look at my formula, it was the big number minus the smaller number over the original. And that is going to be equal to 30%. I'm going to make that equal to 0.3, so I don't have to deal with the times 100 part. Now, this big minus smaller, that is the $12. That's the change. Another way to think about this is the change. As the above formula talked about, it's the amount of change. So this big minus smaller, that is the 12. And 12 divided by the original is equal to 0.3. We can write that as 3/10, and then do a cross multiplying of 3x equals 120 divide by 3, and I get x is 40. So I can say the original price is $40. Moving on to another one, I have a pair of $240 skis, and the new price is $160. What is the percent of discount? This is just a straight plug and chug. 240 minus 160 over, and the original is the 240. And then I just need to make that a percent. Well, that's 80 over 240, which simplifies to 1/3. And 1/3 as a percent is 33 1/3%. Sweater was marked down 25%. The original price is $60. What is the sale price? So I'm going to go let x equal the sale price. And if I look at my my numbers, we want to do big minus small over original equals 25%, or 0.25. Well, my sale price is the smaller of the two, and the original is 60, so I'd want to go 60 minus x over, and the original is 60 still. So notice how these are the same 60s right here. The big number was the original price, and we're going to make that equal to 1/4, because 0.25 is 1/4. Then I'm just going to do a cross multiplying. 60 equals 4 times 60 minus x, or 60 equals 240 minus 4x. Subtract 240 from both sides, and I'm going to get negative 180 is equal to negative 4x. Divide by negative 4, and I get x is equal to 45. So the sale price is $45. 5 says the tax rate is 6.5%. What is the total cost of the sweater? Well, which sweater is it referring to? It's actually talking about this one right here. So if the tax is 6.5%, well, we take tax off of the price. So basically, this is not a percent increase decrease. This is just saying, well, it could be considered a percent increase decrease. Really, what I'm looking for is what is 6.5% of this, and then add that back in. So let's just do it that way. If we're kind of trying to calculate tax, I'm going to take $45 times 6.5%. Well, 6.5% is going to be the same as 0.065, and I plug that in, I get 2.925. So that is 2.925. And then I want to add that back to the 45, so 45 plus 2.925, and I get $47, and we'll round that up to 93 cents. Moving on, this is about finding the original price. So we've done a little bit of this, but let's see. We're going to say it says Hildy bought a shirt for $38.25 after it had been marked down 15%. What was the original price? We go let x equal the original price. And I will know that the formula is big minus small over the original equals the percent. And the percent is 15, so I'm going to write that as 15 over 100. Well, she bought it for $38.25 after it had been marked down. So the original is the big. This is big minus small over the original. So the big one is the x, equals 15 over 100. I can leave this as 15 over 100 right now and go ahead and cross multiply. I would get 15x is equal to 100 times the quantity x minus 38.25. Alright, 15x is equal to 100x minus 3825. Subtract 100x and I get negative 85x is equal to negative 3825. Divide by negative 85 and I would get x equals 45. You don't have to put a complete sentence on this, which is the original price is $45. College Bookstore marks the books up 22%. What's the original price of the book if it sells for $72.59? So we're going to go let x equal original price. And it marks the books up 22%. And so its new price is $72.59. That's the big $72.59. The small is my original price and over the original price, and that's going to be equal to 22/100ths. It equals my percent. So same thing, cross multiply. 22x is equal to 100 times 72.59 minus x, or 22x is equal to 7259 minus 100x. To add 100 to both sides, and I get 122x is equal to 7259. Do some quick division. I get x is 59.5, which is $59.50. Next, the number of registered voters in Franklin increased by 14%. There's now 9,633. How many were there last year? We're going to let x equal number of original voters. So there's now, let's see, so x is the number of original voters. The number of unregistered voters increased. Our number of registered voters increased. So this x is kind of like a smaller one, and then they're now like, this is the bigger one. There's now 9,633 because it increased. So I go big, minus small over the original, and that's going to be equal to 14%. So cross multiply, I get 14x is equal to 100 times 9633 minus x, or 14x is equal to 963300 minus 100x. Add 100x to both sides. I get 114x is equal to 963,300. And the final number when I divide by 114 is x is 8450 voters. And that makes sense because there should be less than there were now. So this is another type of chart that we sometimes do, just to kind of like complete the chart. You've got these different objects. I tried to update this. Vinyl records are making a comeback. So you got original and then new price. It's actually really cheap for a record, but anyway, percent increase. So for the vinyl record, we're going to go right here, big minus small over original. You get 3/12 or 1/4. That's a 25% increase. Okay, now let's kind of put that off to the side. Then I have a personal computer, original, new price. We'll call the new price, it's a percent increase, so increase is new. If I call that X, then I'm going to go new minus original over original is equal to 12%. Then I cross multiply, so 12 times 790. 12 times 790 equals 100x minus 7900, 0. So 12 times 790 is, I'm using your calculators, 98480 equals 100x minus 79000. Add 7900 to both sides and I get 88480 equals 100x, and then I divide both sides by 100 and I get x is equal to 884.80. So that x is now 884.80. Then finally I can put an original here and do it this way, where I go new price, this is the big one, minus the original over the original is equal to 14 over 100. And then just cross multiply there. 14x equals 12540 minus 100x, or 114x is equal to 12540, or 12540 divided by 114, and I get 110. And x is 110, so that would just be $110. And that makes sense. So you got to check that everything in the new price is bigger than the original price, and that works. Okay, this is percent decrease, so just a little bit different. Original, it's still big minus small over original, so I'm going to go 9.9 minus 7.92. Over the original is 9.9. And I get, let's just plug this one into the calculator. You can actually do a fraction. 9.9 minus 7.92. Put that over 9.9. And I get 0.2. 0.2 times that by 100, and it's 20%. Then we got the next one. I'm going to call the new price X. And so my smartphone, it's a percent decrease, so I'm going 230 minus X, because big minus small, over the original is 230. And then I get, that's 8.5%, which is the same as 0.085. But actually I'm going to put 8.5 over 100. That might be easier, because that's how we've been doing it with the ratio. Then I want to do 8.5 times 230, which is 230 times 8.5, and we get 1955. So I have 1955 equals 23000 minus 100x. This is a little tricky. I'm just going to do this to make sure I'm right, and also to validate your decision to use a calculator when because you're now allowed. Minus 23000 21045 divide by 100, I get x is equal to 210.45, and yes, that does make sense, 210.45. I'll use a y here. Again, we're doing percent decrease, so it's my original minus my new over the original, and that's equal to 15 over 100. Cross multiply, I get 15y is equal to 100y minus 5950. Subtract, I get negative 85y is equal to negative 5950. And then divide by negative 85, and I get 5950 divided by 85, 70. So then this would be $70.